Welcome, everyone, to NonPro's review of Masters of the Universe Revelations, both parts. I am your host, Frank, joined by your other hosts, Pete, Ken, and Al. And we're going to be talking all about that Netflix original series, the reboot, really, or continuation. My phone is already buzzing like crazy. Nerd, you can comment during the live show, and we will elevate them up on the screen. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Kevin Smith Netflix series, one of two new Masters of the Universe products that we have been blessed with. Maybe
there's only one. There's only this one.
At least Al and I are going to talk a little bit about the other one, but maybe. This I was all over the place on Revelations. We're going to be full spoilers for both parts, obviously, and I don't know until the end of this episode we're doing right now. I don't know how I'm going to come down on the series. I don't know if I'm going to be yay or nay. But before we begin, let's take a moment, shall we? I'm gonna come on, just get close to me right now. Did you know that Masters of the Universe was basically just a 30-minute long toy commercial in the 80s?
No.
Yeah, everybody knows that. We know what we're talking about. You have voluntarily chosen to watch this YouTube video of a bunch of dorks talking about Masters of the Universe. So yeah, we know what this is. It's fun. We're having fun. We're enjoying ourselves. Don't be sticks in the mud.
I think,
two more. Yeah,
go ahead. The fact that it was a Mattel production should have been a sign.
It was a hint, a suggestion, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we talk about is all about marketing and pushing for product and stuff like that. It's
I think that's going to come up a lot. Two other like extremes, because this is the 21st century and the internet. Did this murder your childhood? And is nostalgia a poison that is destroying the masses? We don't have to worry about either of those things. It's not going to be either extreme. We may hate or love this thing, but it doesn't necessarily need to go down to that kind of obnoxious level. All right. Where do we begin? Maybe just a quick recap of what happened in Revelation. This is going to be a like a blow by blow recap of any part of Revelations, but where were we? He-Man dies
again.
Yes. So in the first part, He-Man died, and then it was the quest to find He-Man's ghost, more or less, right? The quest. No, it was the quest to bring magic back to Eternia. That's a little bit more accurate.
So they got a group of good guys and bad guys together to go on the quest.
Right. And they went through all the different levels of Eternia, and Eternia's heaven and hell. That's important. It comes up later. And then it ends with He-Man returning, being resurrected, at least Adam being resurrected just in time to be killed by Skeletor again. Or kind of killed, run through with the sword, and then Skelegod appears. I said that in a very Kevin Smith way.
Not gonna lie, I loved the concept at the end of that. Finally, the bad guy obtaining the power. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and you could tune into part one of this mini series of us covering this. I think we mostly came out ahead of this. I think we all enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Although we had mixed feelings about certain parts of Revelations Part 1. That's where we left off. In Revelations Part 2, it picks up exactly where we left off with Adam, dying out, where he was dealt a fatal wound. He was not killed at the end of Revelations Part 1.
Pretty gory too, actually.
Yeah. Well, more blood than you would have gotten in the 80s, certainly. Yeah. And our heroes having to kind of deal with this all-powerful Skelegod. So, overall thoughts. What do you think Revelations kind of paid off where the part 2 did part 2 follow perfectly after part 1 to my illustrious host? Anybody want to go first?
I'll be honest, I enjoyed the ride pretty much through part 2. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what I'm specifically asking though is, did it actually pay off of where we landed in part 1? So part 1 we get Skelegod, and
I think in the most part it did. Like when we pick up with part 2, I do feel like we are essentially exactly where we left off. This could have just been the next episode afterwards. I don't even know. Like, I mean, I don't know if it interrupted the pacing that much. Like, I almost kind of feel like I wish they just all been released at once. I don't know what the scheduling was or how it worked with part 1 and part 2, why it shook out that way. But being that it just happened immediately afterwards, I think it would have been better if it had just kept going.
I would argue that Prince Adam was a bit more definitively killed at the end of part 1 than he was when we pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was a degree of healing that took place.
He was a little bit more stable, it seemed, at part 2.
So I understand narratively the need for it, but yeah, I don't think we needed to have it quite that definitive at the end of part 1.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of like misdirections for the part 1 with He-Man being dead, right? Even in the first episode when he dies, we all kind of feel like, well, yeah, he's dead for now. Obviously, there's gonna be more.
It definitely came off to me like the death and return of Superman.
Yeah,
but for He-Man.
Yeah. And if depending on your age group, when you're viewing this, you're either going to be like, "Oh, this will be a fun ride. I can't wait to see how they're going to do it," or you're going to be like, you're going to be screaming in the internet saying, "Oh, you ruined this. He's not. Peter Parker isn't really dead. Clark Kent isn't really like." Just endless amounts of people screaming that their characters aren't really dead. Like, yeah, no shit. But so my thing is that I don't even think the second part narratively, like, it does pick up immediately, and I'm going to back up Alan saying that I think if this was all released at once, it would have worked better. But with part 1 ending, you feel like that is a major chapter. When part 2 begins, the episode takes place immediately afterwards, but then after that, the arc changes incredibly. No one's really concerned about whether or not Adam survives, because he survives like by the end of the next episode. There isn't really that much fear of Skelegod taking over Eternia, because he's pretty much just obsessed with the one thing again, killing He-Man. The story, the second part of the story didn't really have anything to do with any of what we established in the first part of the story. Even Skeletor becomes like, the way Mark Hamill's Skeletor was presented was like, this guy has a plan, right? He got into the castle, he killed his arch enemy, he got the power of Grayskull. But the next arc is him being 80s Skeletor, of just hyper focus on something stupid. I don't know, it just felt like it was fun, but it really did feel disappointing. None of that. No, did any of you pick up on that at all? Am I alone? Am I barking in the dark?
I don't know if specifically I felt that way, because it did feel like he did feel like he had escalated to the next level, but the next level was still at the same goal. It was still just like he couldn't get over, because he sort of felt like, oh, I did it. He-Man's gone. And like then it was suddenly revealed, oh crud, now it's back to what I got to do it again. But like maybe my plan this time like is just obtain more power to accomplish killing He-Man again. I think it works for what we know the character is, because we're still drawing off of some tropes from the old cartoon, but like it's just about that obsession, and I feel like that still comes across from part 1 into part 2. It's just he's a bit more cunning in getting there. What I liked the most about it was Hamill plays him like this. He has Shakespearean level lines that are just all of a sudden stopped by almost as if the actor breaks character for a hot minute. Where like there's that laughing scene where he's like, what are we laughing at? Like, and then there's all that pathos kind of dials down for a hot minute. And I was like, that's fantastic, because that's what I think of when I think of the character, is like these great speeches and like amazing cadence broken up by
cartoonish villainy. Yeah. What about Ken, or what do you think?
I mean, I guess I can understand where you're coming from. I didn't think of that going into it. I just saw this as, yes, this is the continuation. My thing is Skeletor, I felt, again, I think you brought up, was always kind of obsessive about something. And I think it just kept to his original character trait, personally. He was just the two-dimensional villain that just wanted something and constantly went for it.
And I guess it's
It
maybe
was
a
all about
compliment.
power. It was all about getting the power. And then it was just like, okay, now what do I do?
And I think my compliment is like Revelation was the first one was like, oh, this is a different Skeletor. This is a more sinister. This is a bloodthirst. This is a Skeletor that could do something. Oh no, this is not. This is an idiot Skeletor who's again going to put his bony weird foot in his mouth. Pete, not any of that.
I liked it. I thought I agree for the most part. I think it's kind of in character to see him be hyper focused because he's not stupid. Skeletor is not stupid, and
the people he employed might be stupid.
Yeah.
But he has these moments of brilliance, like his plan, hiding an Evelyn's staff. But ultimately, he's always undone by his obsession with defeating He-Man, with his obsession with getting the power. But he's never really considered what to do once he has the power. And that becomes his undoing.
Yeah, I think burying the lead here for me is less Skeletor, although that is still kind of, I can't argue too much about that. Like the Revelation Part 2 gave me the Skeletor that I grew up with. Like that's a weird complaint, and I can't really say that. It's definitely, and it's the time where Skeletor really gets like stage time. In Part 1, just like He-Man, there's flashbacks of Skeletor, and he has a moment in the beginning and the end. But like most of his actions are in the second part of that, and I could take her or leave it. Really, I thought it was pretty fun, but what was disappointing to me, and I'm all over the place with this, honestly, all over the place with this, is the arcs for the other villains, and really the antagonist for Part 2, which became Evelyn, almost in the middle of Part 2. So you're talking about Part 2.5. Right, because the first part of first part of this entire Netflix saga, we could just sort of see who Evelyn really is, how she maybe has some regrets over her life decisions and who she aligned with, maybe has a warm heart underneath all that, looks to help the heroes, for her own sake, if for no other reason. In the second part, she's again regretting aligning with Skeletor, but she's just surviving. And then abruptly, she sees that the universe is guided by nothing but randomness and becomes a nihilistic monster whose only hope is to destroy everything. She becomes the villain in the second half, and her arc is almost entirely thrown out up until the last episode, really. That's the only reason why I'm like pulling back. I was very upset up until the last episode.
It is really weird because I do feel like there's a lot of buildup, and then how it kind of shakes out where she gets the power felt so odd to me because like I mean, what did everyone think was going to happen? Like everyone throughout the entirety of that Part 2 and the first part of 2 is sort of negging her into making a decision or to kind of like betraying Skeletor in some fashion, whether it's Beastman or Man-at-Arms or someone's trying to convince her like you're better than this, and she doesn't really take that advice, at least not in any way that I thought it was going to pan out. Or I think even the characters thought it was going to pan out. I doubt Man-at-Arms was thinking, oh, okay, if I tell her this speech, then she'll become the bad guy. And like, to what end? Like, I doubt that was what he was thinking.
She does take the advice, but it doesn't like, there's no, it doesn't happen, right? So the story shows us her sitting there going like, I think it's right after talking to the Beastman for like the third time. And she says, I don't have to save myself. I have to save us all. And then next episode, she sees the infinite personality vortex, that there's something in Hitchhiker's Guide where you go in a room and you see yourself relative to the rest of the universe, and then you go and see. I'm sorry, this is a deep cut for people who like Hitchhiker's Guide, but
it is kind of what happens.
Yeah, and she goes, she sees that the universe is meaningless and abandons Revelation 1, her motivation in there, and abandons the first half of this part where she's like, I'm going to save us. It no longer becomes about, I'm going to save us. Now, there's a little pin I'm going to put in that. Her argument, she does have an argument, and her argument is that existence is suffering and this is a mercy. But she has definitive evidence that heaven exists. And her first action is to wipe it out. All right, Pete. No, you have.
I was going to say, she does get rid of that.
Yeah,
which was
baller.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, oh my god, the stakes are pretty high now, and I'm like, are we bringing that back? I mean, and we don't really get answers to that at the end of the show.
He-Man's mom says, and I think I quote, I wrote it down. She just killed everyone in heaven.
Same thing in my head. As soon as it happened, I'm like, oh my god, Evelyn murdered heaven. Like she just destroyed heaven.
It's so,
and then all of a sudden, I had some weird Buffy the Vampire Slayer flashbacks afterwards.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
also,
it's fun, right? But
we also have to consider though that heaven is very exclusive. Not only is it only for people on Eternia, but it's only for like champions or heroes who prove themselves on Eternia. So it's like it's a really red rope situation there. So
she didn't destroy heaven; she destroyed Asgard.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah. And honestly, even a throwaway line with like Lena Headey, which is killing it in that role, just saying, like, that's not a heaven for all of us. It's a heaven for the heroes, the good guys. What about the rest of us? Something like that. I'm like, oh, cool. You've acknowledged it. And now I'm back on.
Like, which whole time I'm thinking like, in part 1 too, which like we're always missing that one line of dialogue that like kind of would clear up what's going on, because absolutely what you just said would make perfect sense as to why she does it. And like,
because normally when you have a nihilistic villain of some sort, there's a question about like, what is the meaning of all of this? And while Zor, which apparently is their creator god, cool, was proven to have died in creation. By the way, Kevin Smith, a lot. This is a lot. But okay, that doesn't seem like it would have been motivation enough to counteract all the other things that she has experienced, even though her Aladdin backstory was messed up. She had an Aladdin backstory, didn't she?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
although I don't know if Aladdin had the "my parents wanted to eat me" bit.
That's what Pete said. Yeah, in pre-production. Yeah, I don't know if there was quite a cannibalistic. And that was just what, like, they were smiling. They were so happy.
That was messed up.
It's messed up. Oh man, totally just out of place. It was like, what? Okay, sure.
It felt like I agree with you actually, Frank, where I was sitting there, and that was one of the only moments out of watching the entire series where I really had to pause it. I literally paused it, and I was like, did they say that? Well, not that I was gone from the show forever or anything like that, but that was definitely one of those moments of like, they were gonna eat her.
It's a bit much. And there are moments like that throughout. Like another example I could say is, and it's really the two negative and evil, bad leads from Revelation 1. Beastman is amazing to me. Again, I'll remind everyone who's watching live, you can comment and we'll talk to the comments in the show. It's a part of the fun. But Beastman like had a pretty solid beginning of an arc in 1 and had things happening, like had soliloquies, had moments in Revelation that at one point I think the last episode, or if not the penultimate episode, he says, "Turn me into Battle Beastman." That's it. No explanation for why he chose that.
No,
I guess maybe he loves Evelyn, but you think he'd love?
No, I think he does get an explanation there, because there is a build up to that line.
You're a beast or a man.
Yeah, and eventually he just kind of like he sees that she's not winning the fight, and he's kind of like, I'm a beast. Like, if that's what's going to help you most here, then that's what I am.
He basically says it the way Al just said it. He's like, just FYI, I'm a beast.
I mean, I'm guessing he looked at it as, well, hell, if He-Man can become Savage He-Man, kind of like Savage Hulk, well, I'll take my turn too.
You know what? If Beastman had no motivation through it, like any of the other villains, like Triclops or the other people who kind of just have like a gimmick, it's fun to see how they got reimagined. but they don't really have like motivation. We didn't follow them enough to know what they're after. I'd be like, yeah, sure. Beastman wants beast power, so he wants more beastie. Sure, no problem. But like we went and he saw like this isn't right. Skeletor's just wasting the power. Save yourself. To oh, you're gonna destroy the entire world? Yeah, I'll help you out by being a giant tiger thing. Why not?
He went full Dr. Moreau is what happened.
Yeah.
Yes, but like the 90s movie
Yeah, exactly.
where Brando was just like, I'm not doing this.
And you sit there watching it. Are they men that became animals or vice versa? I still don't know where Beastman tracks.
Yeah, he's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it's weird. The series is full of moments where like it's a victim of its own success. It sets something up that's cool that makes me think, all right, what? And then it's like, oh, nothing. That's what. Nothing happens. Even the Savage He-Man, which was a pretty cool moment. I think we're officially calling him Savage He-Man. That was a pretty cool moment. But like, you know, he almost kills his dad, but his dad hugs him and it gets out of it. But why don't we see him again?
I thought that whole arc worked great. I really enjoyed it. I thought we got set up and payoff for that whole entire thing.
And I'll be honest, I think that was the one thing that took me out of the show.
The Savage He-Man?
The whole Randor hugging him, saying, you know, okay, calm down. This, you know, I'm giving you what you know, the affection I should have given you for like forever ago. It took He-Man to tear his head off for him to say, I love you, son.
I mean, we've all
that kind of took me out of it a little bit.
I don't know why that hit me real hard when I was watching that. I really fell for that one. Absolutely. I was like, oh no, man. Happy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, he is proud of you. I don't know. That one hit right for me. I was there for that.
I was saying real quick. I think for me, the whole thing was with everything else going on. That was the one melodramatic point of this half.
And it was too much, and it tipped you over. Yeah,
yeah, because there's so many other things that you could have focused the melodramatic on, and that was the one thing. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes it works. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar's Teela doing all the like, I can't believe you lied to me, Adam shtick from the last arc and sort of some of this, I think it worked well. I think her delivery was perfect. I think it worked. Yeah. I was like, yeah, she would be a little she would be upset about that. Yeah, being like, but and maybe that's also because Teela was such a big character in the original series, like she was there all the time. But like King Randor, like his only role was to be like, oh my son, you're always partying. He treated Adam like Adam was Bruce Wayne, like a millionaire playboy, right? And it wasn't like I never felt bad for Adam. So like to see that Adam had all this unresolved issues with his dad, I was like, this is a lot. I forgot this character was a person.
I feel like this is once again.
And Diedrich Bader is Diedrich Bader. I just couldn't like lose it. So like for me, it was it. I think I'm a little bit more like Ken. It kind of stuck out a little bit more.
You know what I wish they had spent more of the time on relationship wise? Frank, you were mentioning about, you know, Teela being upset, finding out about everything. What I wish we had gotten more of was the Queen Marlena, King Randor relationship and how their marriage seemed to have been falling apart. I thought that was really interesting.
I thought maybe I missed something there, but I guess not.
No,
I guess they just didn't give it to us.
Yeah, no, they just didn't give it to us.
Sometimes parents are only together for the kids.
Yep, that's the lesson at the end of Revelations.
But like, no, I can see how that would happen. Like they lost their child, and like they talk about it a little bit where he begrudged her because she knew all along that their son was He-Man, and she never told him. And even when he got around to like accepting and understanding that, like he had already done so much damage that now was on her, and she wasn't forgiving him for how he treated her. They went over some dialogue about it. It was all. I agree. We could have spent some actual time with those characters having those conversations rather than her kind of info dumping to her son.
It's kind of surprising those two were together in the first place anyway. I mean, they're from two different worlds.
Yeah.
Literally.
All right, that's my only reaction to that. That's going to sound great on the podcast, by the way. All I have here is such a weak trick, and I'm not sure what that's about, but I think it's the way Evelyn manipulates Skeletor, which I don't know why I put down weak Trick, and I didn't mean like Trick is not a play on words,
Right.
but
I think she manipulated him all right.
very uncomfortable moment. Way too like all right, the sexuality of this moment. I personally don't have much to say about it. It was odd to me, but I think that's kind of that is the white. No, I was gonna say that's the distraction. That's the
In a weird way, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me almost of the original Infinity Gauntlet with Nebula actually tricking Thanos. Or was it her tricking Thanos into so that she was able to take the gauntlet?
oh yes,
Where
in the comic
he
version.
left his body. Yeah,
Yeah.
he left his body, and she took the opportunity to seize the gauntlet and take the power from him.
Yeah, well, she didn't really trick him as much as she could like crippled her way towards it as he was throwing trick, and his body. That's a whole
Yeah,
other
I think
thing.
it was Adam Warlock who convinced him to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, it was something
Or
like
to abandon his physical body.
Right,
Either that or
right.
his physical.
we're completely off script now, but yeah, there was So yes, everyone's talking about how weird that moment was, and how. If anybody has any hot takes that you want to spill right now, please do.
It's the
But there's
only
something
sexual
behind
bit in
that
the
I really
entire
want to talk about.
show, and it comes out of nowhere, really.
Yeah.
Like, because
I'm sorry, Al, say that again.
It's the only like sexual bit in the entire show, which is why it feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like, I almost wish that she had done it and like it didn't work, and Skeletor just been like, "What did you expect me to say? The power return?" Oh, and then like all of a sudden, like
Oh,
the power
God.
returns.
You know
Oh
what?
my God, that would have been better.
I'll actually give it a buy based on how the first part ended, because we had this whole thing where Evelyn had the opportunity to leave to be with the heroes, and she chose to go back to Skeletor. And I just assumed at that point, with that part of the show happening, that's why she regained them, because she was going to turn the tide and not let Skeletor keep it. She was just biding time to actually do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all thought up until like the halfway point of this second half, where suddenly she became the villain again. And that feels like it's another twist to a story. That's good storytelling, but I don't think it is. I think it really is a dropped lead. I think we have a bunch of characterization and agency this character had that just kind of vanished up until the last episode. The thing, the elephant, I'm losing the phrase I'm looking for, but the misdirect here for the sexy Evelyn. All right, Darren Patterson. I'm so glad he got to say this. Darren Patterson says Evelyn mounting Consider's Skeletor was definitely something.
Yeah,
it was my entire Friday night. That's all I got to say.
That's right. So beyond the weirdness and the sexual, the maybe even the coolness, maybe this is some fan fiction you had in your head for a while. And actually, it is kind of interesting from another perspective. She is in an abusive relationship with a manipulating monster, right?
Yeah.
Like she doesn't choose to go with Skeletor at the end of Revelation. What choice does she have? He will kill her if she doesn't, right? So like that's, and the series does talk about it and deal with it to a certain extent. Beastman and Evelyn have a heart-to-heart that is completely ignored in the next episode or two. But the other weird thing about that moment is it is very silly in a way. Like the Skeletor, this is definitely the moment Skeletor stops being the Skeletor we've seen in the first part of Revelation, where he's like a genius who planned this whole thing. Before he became this demon, the opening of the show refers to him as a demon. The demon Skeletor is kind of like a little horny, and he can be manipulated. And it just felt off to me. It was rescued by a wonderful line: "You can't love, you can only crave." So like that is the whole thing about this series is like, I'm like, I hate this, but I really like this. And they're almost married together. I can't have one without the other. I almost want a second draft of this if I can.
Yeah.
By the way,
Which I
that's
think was what we
the
said
new
about-
ad campaign for White Castle.
You can't
I
love,
think
you
this
can
was
only
almost what we
crave.
had to say about the first one, though. Was we're like, man, if there was just another draft, because I feel like the dialogue is so much sharper now than
One
it
more
was in
pass.
part one.
Yeah.
But like the pacing, which was fine in part one, is now really all over the place in part two.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something off about it. It's hard to. I have all these weird things what was Tila's plan? The Rise of Skywalker message to everyone. Tila went from, okay, here's another character whose agency and backstory gets thrown out the window. An entire series or half a series, I don't know how to refer to this, and it's their choice to have split it up, so I can't, I'm not going to say anything about it, but she now rejects magic and in every way, right? Tila did not. That was a big thing for her, and we kind of knew why, because everyone knows that Tila has something to do with the sorceress. That's been there from the beginning, and there's going to be some sort of hard choice she would have to make regarding magic, but she doesn't make that choice. At some point, she realizes magic is her thing now, and just takes it and goes with it. So she doesn't want to use she just wants to magic a message. Using magic message, probably spell TM, to all of Eternia, so that they can Rise of Skywalker show up and fight whatever evil is coming down the pike.
She did have the Force Ghost Sorceress briefly to help her out.
And her goal for the message happened pre-Sorceress. She's like, I'm just going to go to Grayskull, and hopefully there will be a Force Ghost Sorceress there to teach me how to do this, because I don't really know what I'm doing. It just was it's stupid. It was just characters passing the idiot ball so they can move the story forward in a weird way. And I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't necessary. It felt like it was all shoehorned in to get these big moments.
I definitely have been agreeing with a lot of your grievances here, but I know Tila seemed fine. I don't know what it was or why it hit different for me. Maybe it's the same reason why the Savage He-Man arc hit better for me than other people did, but her arc seemed fine. At no point did I feel like it was it worked. She was I think we got over the hump in part 1 about the problems with magic, and this was just more about, and because the problems with her magic really, I think, do come from what she says in this part, which is, I've kind of always known. I didn't always say it or admit it to myself, but and that was where it came from. And her arc isn't so much about just overcoming that hump. It's about wait, I can be different from this. I don't have to choose these things or make these mistakes that you did.
Right. And so to clarify, I don't think her arc is bad, and I think you gave great examples for why it's good. I think the stuff they have her doing is kind of wasted or weird. I'm going to message all of Eternia. Feels like it's like padding. It doesn't feel like what a main character is doing in a story. She's not actually it's not a goal that I don't even think it's a goal that has real consequences. A bunch of people show up with pitchforks, and then the B guys and the Hawkmen show up as well. Maybe it's just that final battle wasn't really compelling to me, so that when everybody showed up, I didn't really want to reward anyone for doing it. I also don't know why people needed a message saying, "Come on, let's all fight back against our imminent deaths." You're right, Tila. I should fight back against my imminent death.
Dying would be a bad thing.
Yeah. So it's just a little muddy, but yeah, I don't think it's a bad arc. And actually, in terms of Tila and Evelyn, because we don't get the resolution till the last episode, which is how stories work. So bad on me for being upset throughout it. But Evelyn and Tila both kind of are going along with the story until that last episode, where Evelyn gets a little bit of perspective thanks to Tila, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And goes back to her original kind of message. And then Tila also decides that she doesn't have to be like the sorceress, and that's cool too. It just feels like there's a lot of weird things that were forced in to make the conflict the way it came out. It doesn't feel like it was pieced together correctly. It feels like it was just sort of jangled together.
I think maybe it's more of
but I don't know. It's weird. I wish I could point out where exactly I can feel different about it, but it's one of those weird moments. I don't know. I don't get it. The message worked for me. I didn't really feel like it hit wrong or felt like it was
the closest I can say that is it's from what you said in the beginning, where if this was all released at once, would this have been more oh, okay, I get this.
Yeah.
What this is. But for me, when I see a story that has a definitive part 1, a definitive part 2, I want them to relate to each other in a way that this didn't quite. Ken, you were going to say something just now?
I kind of agreed with Al about the whole Tila story arc, but I think part of it also was being a fan and kind of knowing the characters. And I think it's that weird moment where the writers and the audience are all on the same page, where it's like, yeah, we all know that this is going to happen. We just have to get to it, and they just did it very rushingly, like very quickly.
Yeah, I think there was something. Pacing might be it, but it's hard to put my finger on exactly why.
Yeah,
why it
that
comes
I can
off
relate
this way.
to.
So, and then the line, "What in the universe did Tila put in that message?" A little magic.
It's a kind of magic, Frank. It's a kind of magic.
Speaking of lines, does anyone have anything else to say about the overall arc or anything, or do we want to go into like moments or anything in particular that we want to bring up? How about Orko the White, as Pete has as his name? I
was very. I don't know what the right word is, but I was taken aback, I guess, by them undoing all the deaths in the first half. It's like everybody, it's like you get to come back alive and you get to come back alive.
Not you, Roboto. You stay dead.
Yeah, well,
and Mothman.
Fisto didn't come back.
Ever truly alive?
Poor Fisto. Oh man.
Fisto and other guy. What's the clamp?
Clamp Champ.
Clamp Champ.
Wow.
Real name Franklin.
They both died, got their souls captured, destroyed, became undead, and then died again.
I love that at the end, Evil Lynn grabs Orko. It's like, oh no. You don't have to go back.
That's all it takes.
And nobody like,
else.
Oh wait, go grab some of our other friends.
No one gets
grabbed. At no point does He-Man say, "Wait, Mom."
I just thought too, it's just like, of all people Evil Lynn did, like, Orko's going. He's like, I gotta go. None of his friends thought to pull him back, but Evil Lynn was like, oh, all right, yeah, no problem. Yoink.
They had a moment.
Did He-Man's mom die in this?
No.
No. Okay.
I thought she did.
No.
That's because there's no Pete.
No, she launched Ram Man into a fight.
Yeah, that was the last thing we saw.
Ram Man being
a
nuclear weapon or whatever, like a drop, was fine. I was more than happy.
That was good. I'm
My
glad they didn't kill him off
with
as well.
it-
It was just like, oh no, he's here. It's fine. Yeah.
My only problem with it, I just don't see Danny Trejo as Ram Man.
Yes.
I didn't even recognize his voice.
I love Danny Trejo. I love the voice. They didn't mesh for me.
Ken?
I thought it was an interesting take on how Ram Man's legs work. They were like spirally springs.
Oh, interesting.
Like the toy.
No, I mean,
the
toy was just like stiff legs. Yeah.
Yeah. The springs were interior on the toy. You couldn't see them.
Right.
Yeah, I did enjoy that Tila at least got to do it her way at the very end of the episode, but there was a lot of just following the beats down to when she was going for the rescue mission. I don't know if that was intentionally a rescue mission, but it seemed like she was going they were trying to rescue Man-at-Arms, and Man-at-Arms rescued them. And who are those guys? Pigman and
Goat Man and Pig Boy. I have an answer for this.
Please,
okay.
They're two of the most obscure Masters of the Universe characters in existence. Goat Man appeared in a single Golden Book.
Wow.
And appeared in no other media. Pig Boy was a character from the Masters of the Universe movie who was a third grade young boy who won a contest to appear in the movie. He appears in one scene when Skeletor comes back to Eternia from Earth and Pig Boy hands him his staff.
Wow.
That reminds me, Blade was in this
I was going to say,
speaking
speaking of the movie, movie, the character Blade from the live action was in it too. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. These
Very
are
good.
incredible factoids that make me appreciate this no more.
Oh,
That's
Frank, it would
interesting.
have been so much better if Karg was there.
Of course, yeah, that would have tied the entire thing together in a
Yeah.
neat little bow.
Not Sauron?
So
No, he died too early.
I'll also throw out one last criticism, except for like Ran Man, and I guess Fisto, and I really wasn't happy. Like I loved seeing all these characters come back in the part one of Revelations and seeing how they get reinterpreted or whatever. Even like a little bit of like Triclops was cool, and Trapjaw was cool, but this, like, there wasn't really anybody in this one. Scareglow gets another scene for whatever reason, and again, there is, of course, Fisto, who does also make an appearance. Thank you, Darren, for giving us the quote, "I sure would like to fist him," was an actual line in this.
There were 3 of those puns, I think, all within like a minute.
And they're all
Yeah,
trans-
yeah. There's just so many, but like there wasn't as much as the first part, and I kind of miss those. I really did enjoy those in the first part.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we could talk about moments we enjoyed, moments we really didn't like that just stuck with us. There even are completely non sequiturs. I didn't like when the mist was corrosive, and he's like, it's not. There's some weird line of dialogue about the magic corrosiveness. I'm not even gonna. If I didn't write it down, then it's not worth talking about. Does anybody else have one?
I liked
good
the
line or
Zor
moment?
bits, like the origin of the planet kind of stuff. I felt was
That
really
was pretty
good.
awesome.
Yeah, that was great visual storytelling where we see it the first time and then see it the time again, and like that really worked really well. There's also that other time where the animation kind of changes with He-Man in the middle of the fight, where that was really awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Anybody else?
I like the callback to Queen Marlena actually being a pilot.
That was cool. Yeah. All right. You're right. And some of these are just me missing because they weren't as big a character, right? But yeah, that's definitely a callback. Pete, you got anything?
I just liked seeing Point Dread finally. I don't think it ever appeared in the Filmation cartoon.
The infamous toy, but not. I don't know.
Yeah. I had Point Dread as a kid, and I loved that thing.
So, all right, I have a couple of little nitpicks that I wrote out, and also a cool thing. So, find safe positions. There are no safe positions behind me. That's just a mean thing to do to a peasant. chase after He-Man and hope you're in the wake of his destruction. I don't know. And it also feels like, why did you literally just said that to set up the behind me?
Like, just say, get behind me.
Yeah, you could have just said that. It would have been much easier, much more direct. But I love the nod to let this be our final battle.
Yes.
When I heard it, I said it out loud as it was happening, and I'm like, what is that from? Why do I feel like that's from something silly, but also
the movie.
That's from the movie.
Yep.
Let this Frank Langetta.
Frank Langella.
Langetta. Thank you. Yeah. There are plenty of moments in here. Anybody have a moment that we didn't talk about that they want to call out specifically?
I was not a fan of the very ending with Skeletor and Triclops and Trapjaw, setting whatever happened to Skeletor being enveloped by the technology, and then Hordak's symbol just popping up at the end. I'm like, nah, that didn't do it for me.
Really? I loved that because it was setting up the New Adventures of He-Man, where he gets the cyber stuff on him in like that sequel series.
Oh God, I hope they don't go there. That actually makes me afraid.
I was actually kind of surprised that Mother Brain is affiliated with the Horde.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Could we be seeing a She-Ra Samus team up in the future?
Everything's an IP. Yeah. Al, any moments that you want to pull out? that we haven't
that I
already
felt like
talked
were kind
about?
of like a little on the weak side. Like I'm trying to think of any of
No,
them
anything at all. Just like a moment that we didn't mention that we maybe want to talk about. Because the last thing we have to talk about is really about whether we like this and who this was for.
Yeah.
Which we could just get into right away.
Honestly, like I think that a lot of the action scenes were just done really, really well. I mean, I can't complain about how like they were very visceral, and I was really there for most of them. I can't pick one out specifically, besides the one time when the animation went through that change. But they were all like really, like I thought, compelling. Like it was really good action moments.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. The animation and the action was fun. So like, did this do its job? Did this refresh the IP? And who is this for? Is this for people? This is definitely for, to some extent, Masters of the Universe fans, people who are fans of at least either the 2000X or the 80s version, right? I don't know if a lot of people are going to stumble onto this and be like, I have never seen any of this. I don't really care. But this is great because it's so referential, right? It focuses back so much.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
The show is for me.
Yeah.
There were things I nitpicked and had some issues with, but I loved it from start to finish, to be honest. I really enjoyed this.
Pete, what did you think?
It was not for new fans.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this was for people who enjoyed the Filmation series, enjoyed all the other I would say mostly the 80s stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. It is mostly a continuation of the 1980s series.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, I'd say it goes so far as to say if you were a fan of the 2000X series, you're probably a little bit disappointed in this because it seems like Skeletor is not Keldor. He's not Superman's uncle. Superman's uncle.
No, you were right.
Yeah. Well, he's not Superman's uncle either. He might be. We don't know.
Was it for you though, Pete?
Yeah. It was for me. I don't know if I liked it, but it was. They tried to make it for me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Al, what about you? What do you think? Who is this for?
As a person who liked the 2000X series when I was younger and like going into middle school, high school, I don't know, it kind of hit. There were a few beats from that series that did hit for me in this one, so it felt like it was for me as well because I really liked it, and I have very little to no experience with the original 80s show. So going off of what I did have from when I was younger, I dug it. I like, even if I don't know if this was necessarily for me, but I really liked it. So I mean, there's that.
There you go. Yeah, I think I'm all over the place with this show. I don't know if I enjoyed it, right? I definitely enjoyed it, but
I'm actually surprised. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, because my biggest problems with it is that it's not about whether or not this is a true to form continuation of the 80s series. I don't really care about that.
Right.
But did it actually deliver on all the things it set up throughout? And mostly no. Most of it was Evelyn going from having a existential crisis to being a crazy woman with too much power, right? That's kind of the story we ended up getting. Tila having a bunch of identity issues, going to now fulfill your role as a sorceress, until that last episode where they at least addressed it and kind of course corrected on it. So if it weren't for that last episode, I'd probably be like on this. But they course corrected. They went to where the story should have been. I think they could have done a much better job of it in some ways if they had tightened it up a little bit. But overall, I enjoyed it. Are we gonna do mints near mints? Yeah, Pete.
Can I revise what I said before?
Sure.
I want to say what this is He-Man fans, people who grew up playing with He-Man and absorbing the media. This was a chance to have those little those games they played with the action figures, the original adventures that they created in their heads. You know, you playing this was a chance for them to put that on the screen. You know, this was the continuing adventures of He-Man, as I'll just put Kevin Smith on it, as Kevin Smith played with his action figures as a kid and made up the stories in his mind.
Right. And I think you could enjoy that. You could be like, yeah, Kevin, that's a good story. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'll come over to your house again. Or you could be like, no, that wasn't the way I would play with it. And I think that's where a lot of the internet arguments come from. And my thing wasn't even about whether or not I agree with the way Kevin Smith plays with it. It's more like, Kevin, you weren't paying attention to what you said in the first few minutes. And Kevin's like, I'm playing with toys here. Shut up. But did you know that the 1980s show was originally a toy commercial? No. Yeah.
But I appreciate it on that level. If you accept it as that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. So I think we all kind of liked it. I think it was pretty good. All right. That was easy. So we could end here. And like come back in a minute, and Al and I will talk about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the CGI show, as Pete immediately closes his camera and walks out. But I will say this, because we did not agree to watch it all, and I've only gotten, I think, 2 or 3 episodes in. And I jokingly did one of the things you can't do on the internet anymore. You can't use hyperbole. And I said, this is the worst thing I've ever seen when I saw the original trailer. Or I may have even said this murdered my childhood, but like I'm intentionally dragging, like, you know, making the joke.
Yeah.
In reality, it just didn't look like it was for me. I think it was, and the trailer was just awful for me.
I've said this 1,000 times in conversation. It's a kid's show with a capital K.
And I have no problems with kids shows, and I can still say that even if it's a kids show, I can like it, and I don't like this even as a kids show. So it's not about it being too kiddie. It's about like it wasn't for me. It looked like a really bad trailer, but I did just because I like to hurt myself. Watch 2 episodes, and that first episode was just me going, "What is this? What is this?" I don't like the CGI. I don't like the character designs. I don't know what the hell they're following. The voiceovers don't fit in perfectly. It wasn't like there's no reason for this to be He-Man. This could have been an original property, but for the fact that they wanted to keep relaunching this IP. Then I got to the end of that first episode into the second episode. Pete, I want you to say what you're going to say before I continue.
I do need to ask you, because so far everything that you have said can also apply to the new adventures of He-Man.
Yeah. It did remind me a lot of that, actually, and it is an intense.
Why is this He-Man?
Yeah, it is, and that's what I remember thinking at the time at New Adventures of He-Man, going, "Why is this He-Man?" And same thing. I was like, "Why is this He-Man?" And by the end of that first episode, into the second episode, it's not like there's a major twist or anything.
Yeah,
there really isn't. But I'm like, I see where they're going. Okay, that's interesting. This might actually be okay. The theme music is still horrifying, objectively. I've never hit skip intro harder than I have with this.
Yeah.
CGI is just like my personal taste. I actually do think sometimes they're on model and sometimes the animation is actually beautiful. So if you are an animator on the series, please don't be upset. But you know, it was hit or miss. But like I got where they were going with this, and I think it might actually be pretty cool and pretty fun and enjoyable. And I kind of know why it would be He-Man. But there seemed like a deliberate attempt, both in the trailer and in that first episode, believe it or not, of making you feel like most of the time like this is not He-Man, which is a weird flex that a lot of people who are giving us our childhood IPs back. I don't know why the obsession. There, if you remember the trailer for this, there's a moment where Adam says, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," and he says it in such a stupid way, and it's just like, why are you like lampshading the big moment? Why would I want to watch this? In context, it makes perfect sense. Adam wields the sword in self-defense at one moment, and an inscription shows up and he reads it for the first time, so he doesn't know what he's reading. That's the first and only time he reads it that way, and it's the part they used in the trailer that made you think that they weren't gonna that they didn't give a crap about this. It reads as lampshading, but in reality, it's just out of context. So it's weird. It's weird that the people who control this IP and don't know how to deliver it. Even this, delivering it as like a long movie may have been better than a 2 series / 1 series 2-part.
Yeah.
I think it just made it confusing for no reason. Burying the lead that Tila was going to be the lead in most of it. I think I would like to believe that most Masters of the Universe fans or fans of fiction would be okay with this if they knew what they were getting before they got in. And yeah, you don't want to hide the fact that He-Man dies in the first for a shock value in the first few minutes of the first episode, but there's better ways of doing it. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. We have 2 quick commercial things that we have to play that I want you all to stick around with. And when we come back, we're going to say our goodbyes and last thoughts if you have any, okay? So this is going to take like a minute or two. It's really quick. We have a brand new bump I need to share with all of you. Everybody was really a big fan of the original bump from our first He-Man Masters of the Universe or Master of the Universe Revelations video. You remember that? So we have a sequel, and it really is a tour de force. So stay tuned. Remember, everyone, if we were a power couple, our name would be Beast Men at Arms. Subscribe today! Oh, that's it? That was it? No background music or anything? Good night, everybody! Yeah, that's it. This was fun. I don't know if there's ever going to be a season 2. I don't know if Kevin Smith can emotionally.
It'd be cool if there was. I don't know if they're going to do it, but it'd be cool.
He seems so sad right now, and I actually do feel bad for him because I just.
Actually, did anybody watch like that whole after show thing?
Not for part 2. Was there one for part 2? I just saw the one for part 1.
Yeah,
it almost seems like they intentionally edited him out of most of it.
Oh no!
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely not in it as much as the first part.
Oh no! Everyone involved they brought their all. I think there was a lot of great voice work here, a lot of great animation, and it was fun. It was my biggest complaints about this. Honestly, my biggest complaints were you guys had done so much good work, and you didn't deliver on all of it. But they at least did the work. There's a lot of good stuff that could be mined for this in future installments and things like that. So if you're listening, Netflix, and we know you are, you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Does anyone have anything to plug before we go off? Nope. I just have this. Hey, Skeletor. Yes, Joker? We sure had a lot of fun today, didn't we? Oh, we sure did. And you know what else is fun? No, what else? But you're the Joker. How do you not know what else is fun? I have cuckoo banana pants. Oh, right. Yes, fine. You know what else is fun? Yeah, what else is fun? Hitting subscribe on this channel. Oh, you don't seem convinced. No, seriously. I learned something today. I'm going to get close to the camera, uncomfortably close. Hey, look at me. If you want to show support to the independent creators and not just these huge media franchises, you should like, follow, subscribe, that whole deal. Specifically, subscribing to us on YouTube and Twitch really does do the trick. It really gets me in my funny bone. That should be my joke. I lost my voice. Also, Superman is here. Yay! Subscribe, like, and follow. We learned something today. And knowledge is power. Boom. I don't think any of this is on brand. Yeah. Subscribe today. You got it all, buddy. Yeah, we are buddies. I'm Batman. I just want to come back. I was gonna just close, but one of the few joys I have in life is watching your faces as you watch that video. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna get a chance to use that bump again. Really, I've used it too much already. But it's just great.
That one can never go away, man.
Nope.
No.
All right. Good night.
When would you not use it?
Yeah, it's true. It's got everyone. It's got DC characters. It's got Mattel characters. It's got everyone.
There we go. Yep. It's
I
got
mean,
Batman.
honestly, when you're not going live, I think you should just be broadcasting that on a loop.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that'll get a lot of subscribers. All right. Good night, everybody. This was
Good night,
fun.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.